picture this. You're wielding a magical sword, fighting for your life, only to find out that the ultimate world-ending evil you're trying to destroy is destined to come directly for you. Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are going on a massive, in-universe lore dive into a super rich narrative. We're looking at a totally critical juncture in the Dreamweaver saga, specifically the Tower of Trials arc. And look, this isn't just your standard story about magical weapons and fighting monsters. It is a high-stakes journey about personal growth, the absolute crushing weight of duty, and that crazy tension between just wanting to live a normal human life and facing an inescapable cosmic destiny. So get comfortable, grab a snack, because we have a ton of fantastic ground to cover.
Okay, here's our roadmap for today's Explainer. We'll be hitting the dual narrative, the keys to the dream world, the initiation, combat and inner demons, the Dreamweaver revelation, and finally, the emotional burden. Let's just jump right in.
Section 1, the dual narrative. 2 worlds, 1 hero. To really get the immense growth of our main character Zan, you have to understand exactly how this story is being told. The narrator's perspective here is just fascinating. Zan is the one telling us the story, right? But he's actually acting as an omniscient narrator. As he explicitly states in the text, he's adopting the persona of the Dreamweaver. That means he's had the time to sit back, recall, and heavily analyze every single event in deep detail. So we're constantly bouncing back and forth. One second, we're with Zan as this anxious, present-day teenage recruit who is terrified of the unknown, and the next, we're hearing from Zan as a seasoned, all-knowing veteran, giving us deep, introspective insights into his own journey. It gives you this incredible emotional whiplash. You're hearing youthful fear, but it's totally overlaid with profound wisdom of someone who actually survived all of it. And think about the massive tension that creates. 1 minute, you're gaming with your friends, and the next, you're thrust into a lethal realm dealing with the Nightmare King. On the human side of things, Zan has a pretty ordinary life. He's playing Phantasy Star Universe, he's joking around the house with Ayumi and Ai, he's doing his morning training with wooden swords out in the yard. It's grounded, it's safe. But then, step through the looking glass, and he is completely submerged in the vibrant, hyper-dangerous dream world, completely surrounded by the Nightmare King's schemes and these brutally lethal trials. This jarring, huge transition, from a teenager's lazy morning routine to the crushing weight of his ultimate destiny, it really anchors the whole narrative. It makes his bravery feel incredibly real, because he actually has something to lose.
Moving on to Section 2, Keys to the Dream World. Let's talk about artifacts of power.
Before Zan and the other recruits can even think about facing their trials, they have to be empowered by some specific mechanisms and some deeply personal heritage. Take a second to consider the incredible weight of this specific artifact. This is a horn necklace given to Zan by his guardian, Wanyi. But it isn't just a cool piece of carved jewelry. It's a direct, pulsating link to Zan's proud Ghanaian heritage. It was actually won by his ancestor, the great Sunziri, after he defeated a literal giant demon rhinoceros. So this necklace acts as a tangible symbol of courage. It physically and emotionally fuels Zan, pushing back the dark edges of his fear. And what's really cool is that the shared Ghanaian heritage becomes an instant bonding point with his fellow recruit, Boniface Kenya, who goes by Face, since Face is half Ghanaian himself. It's just a beautiful touch of cultural strength that shapes his whole perspective going into the trials. But Zan isn't just passively accepting his fate. He takes active ownership of it. When he grabs hold of the infamous Nightbane sword, he realizes it reacts to his deep, mysterious connection to Ayumi. It actually manifests brilliantly as the light of love. And right in that moment, he decides to rename it, Silver Dream. He literally strips away the dark, ominous legacy of the weapon and forges it into a beacon of hope. This is a massive, foundational moment for him before the battle even kicks off. He's not just wielding a weapon anymore, he's wielding a promise. Now, actually accessing the eternal mirror gate to get to the dream world, it isn't just opening a door. It's an intensely precise ritual. The sigils they use aren't just for combat, they are literal portal keys. And because Zan isn't a full knight yet, he has to act as the focal point. He stands perfectly still in the middle. The knights form a tight circle around him. They touch the tips of their sigils right to his, and together they chant the calling. It's this incredibly rhythmic, mechanical process that violently transitions them out of the human realm and directly into the ethereal halls of the Dream Knights.
Section 3, the initiation. Entering the tower.
The second they arrive, reality sets in hard. Even before the trials are formally announced, we get a crucial piece of hidden history. Mr. Kurosawa steps up and hands over the glowing gem of fire to the Chancellor. It turns out Zan has already defeated the first soul of evil and recovered this ancient elemental stone. Boom! That revelation completely shifts the dynamic in the room. Zan isn't just some green novice anymore. He is already a proven hero. And you better believe that drastically raises the expectations and the stakes for the brutal, unknown trials that are coming up.
And the sheer danger of this initiation really cannot be overstated. Ayumi outlines the harrowing rules for them. The Oracle, Light Gazer, groups the recruits into teams of 3. They have to climb 3 distinct levels, and on each level, one member has to conquer their own profound personal weakness. Oh, and once you step inside, the heavy doors seal shut. There is absolutely no turning back. Plus, terrifyingly, this isn't just a controlled, standardized test environment. The Nightmare King has actually infiltrated the tower and rigged it with lethal, unknown traps. So this isn't a physical gym exam. It requires immense mental discipline to see if their bravery can actually withstand their deepest, darkest terrors.
Section 4. Combat and Inner Demons. Facing the Nightmare.
Inside the tower, the psychological stuff quickly becomes violently physical. We see this vividly when Zahn's team, which is him, Face, and Victoria, gets hit with their first trial. Face is suddenly staring down Mr. Angobio. This is a childhood terror that has literally haunted his nightmares for years. But this is exactly where deep camaraderie shines. Zahn starts actively, desperately encouraging him, and through that, Face finds his center. He realizes this nightmare cannot defeat him as long as he has courage. So he summons his earth sigils, forming the mighty double tomahawk, and just utterly obliterates his inner demon. It is a massive victory for their friendship and a huge testament to the power of shared bravery.
But then, the trials throw a totally massive, agonizing tactical dilemma at them. A bit later, they run into the Soul of Enslavement, who sends these mind-controlled human warriors to attack the team, which forces a really terrifying question. How on earth do you survive and defeat human comrades without becoming a murderer yourself? This is where Zahn, acting with that deep wisdom of the Dreamweaver, uncovers a secret function of their weapons. He explains that a sigil slays whatever its wielder wishes for it to slay. But to pull that off, you need absolute, laser-focused mental discipline. Right in the heat of combat, Zahn and Face intentionally focus their minds on slaying only the nightmares. And in this breathtaking display, their glowing blades literally pass right through the physical bodies of the human warriors without harming a single piece of their flesh. Instead, the weapons strike and kill the parasitic nightmares, the dark crowbats, hiding inside them. It's just an incredible merging of fierce physical combat and absolute unshakable mental control.
Section 5. The Dreamweaver Revelation, a Cosmic Destiny. So while the recruits are fighting for their lives in the tower, the veteran Dream Knights are on a parallel side quest that basically changes everything. They track down an ancient witch named Bamane, hoping to find a map that leads to the elemental stones. Instead, she drops a universe-altering bombshell right on Ayumi. There is no physical map. Zahn himself is the Dreamweaver. The exact person they have sworn to protect is the prophesied figure standing at the dead center of this entire cosmic conflict. Bamane's revelation completely shatters everything the Knights thought they knew. The ancient lore they were taught, total myth. The evil trapped in the Mirror Gate isn't just a combination of 7 souls, it's the tangible collection of all mankind's evil desires. They don't need to scour the world for a map. Zahn is the living anchor, and the absolute evil is going to come directly to him. He isn't just some aspiring teenage knight hoping to do a little good. His very existence is a high-stakes cosmic reality. Bamane warns them with terrifying clarity. If anyone harms Zahn, it will unleash nightmares unlike anything existence has ever seen.
Finally, Section 6. The Emotional Burden. A Tragic Destiny.
This brings us to the sheer weight of this narrative. There is one single, devastating realization that crashes down on Ayumi after learning all of this. It creates this agonizing, practically unbearable tension between her strict, sworn duty as a Dream Knight and the genuine love she has finally allowed into her heart. After surviving the harrowing trials, Zan is physically exhausted and finally sleeping peacefully. Ayumi quietly slips into his room just to watch over him, and the story gives us this incredibly poignant, vivid emotional beat. Ayumi openly weeps, whispering an apology to a sleeping Zan. She realizes the tragic, heartbreaking irony of her entire life. She finally found a true friend, someone who accepts her entirely and isn't terrified of the crazy world she comes from. Yet, because he is the Dreamweaver, the prophesied center of all this evil, she realizes she may be destined by her oath to draw her sword against him in the future.
The sheer guilt and sadness she carries in this quiet, solitary moment is absolutely crushing.
And that leaves us with this final, provocative thought. Zan has proven his undeniable bravery. He has conquered the terrors of the Tower of Trials, and he's forged powerful, battle-tested friendships with allies like Face. But is it going to be enough? When the ultimate evil inevitably comes for the Dreamweaver, and his own friends are torn apart by their sacred duty, will his courage be enough to save a world that seems destined to turn against him? It's a brilliant setup that leaves us desperately wanting to know what happens next. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning the dream.